This episode of the Grit Files was brought to you by Koya, Performance for Life. Koya combines wearable technology with behavioral science to help you unlock your energy and perform at your highest level. Their coaches have worked with Olympians, Super Bowl MVPs, World Series champions, and other elite performers, and now they're bringing that same level of support to everyday high achievers. This holistic 12-week program focuses on sleep, exercise, nutrition, mindset, self-care, and immune function, blending biometric data with one-on-one coaching and cutting-edge education. You'll receive a wearable like an Oura Ring, Whoop, or Garmin to track sleep, HRV, and activity. But Koya goes beyond data. You're supported by an elite team that includes a dietitian, sleep coach, movement specialist, and mental performance coach, all helping you build sustainable habits that actually fuel long-term performance and longevity. If you're ready to generate more energy and show up stronger in your work, your training, and your life, Koya's built for you. And as a member of the Grit Files community, you get 30% off the program. Visit koya.life to learn more. Welcome to the Grit Files.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Laura Reynolds, and today we have Iron Force Fitness co-founder and the mastermind behind Brandon Kessler Photography, Brandon Kessler himself. Welcome to the Grit Files.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty, which that's why we're here, we uncover all of the tough stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you back a little bit because you might not even remember this. But I feel like this was, over 12 years ago when we first met?
Yes.
And we were literally training in an open field in Havre Grace when you were piloting a fitness program at that time. It was like 4 of us at the time. Mm-hmm. Kettlebell swings, tire flips in the middle of
No clue what I was doing at all.
Grace.
Just fake it till you make it.
Yeah. So just to give our listeners some context, that's how far back Brandon and I go. Fast forward now, at least 12 years. Mm-hmm. You're the co-owner of Iron Force Fitness and actually the founder.
Yeah.
And you're now working with brands like GOWOD, NoBull, HYROX, TYR, Fanatics, Nat Geo. A lot has happened between.
It's been an interesting 12 years. It's been a lot. Many ups and downs for sure, as you can imagine. Yeah. But it's, especially when we talk about the highlight reel, it's many, many more ups, which is cool.
Yeah.
When we talk about those brands, obviously that's from photography, which is like a whole nother thing that has happened in the last 12 years. But no, I remember those days in those fields very vividly. And it was funny because before I moved a couple years ago, I would take my dog there to run in the morning. And I'd be like, I remember making people do shuttle sprints and these things.
Yeah.
Very, very crazy start. And I miss a lot of how ambitious I was back then. It's great when you have nothing to lose and you're just like, I don't understand why everybody doesn't do this, you know? So I'm glad that I took that risk when I did. It paid off, and it's led me to have a very, very awesome and blessed last 12 years for sure.
Yeah. When you think about the version of you that you were then and who you are now, who you've become.
Yeah.
What do you think has been like the biggest shift for you?
Oh, gosh. I think at that point in time in my life, and we can dive into this more later on, but I was only a few years sober at the time. I had gotten sober.
16 years
yes,
sober,
it's been
right?
Long. It's
As
been
of
very
this
long.
year, not a smile milestone. So we'll definitely unpack that.
But it's been one of those things where I think at that point in time, I was on such a high of life because I was experiencing things that I wasn't able to for such a long time. And I felt like Superman. Like I felt like I could do anything. And I had gotten into fitness, and it was a big impact in my early sobriety as to something that kept me sober and kept me grounded and kept me working towards something that was healthy for myself. And I very quickly was like, okay, I think I want to do this as a career, and I think I want to do this and help other people achieve that. So, back to your question, I think a lot of it at the time was like the risk factor didn't exist. I was just like, oh, there's no way that you can fail doing this. Like, you just try it and do it.
Right.
little more cautious these days, but yeah, back then it was definitely, you just didn't understand how you could fail. I felt like I was winning at life so much at that time because I was seeing everything through a different lens for the first time in a very long time, and I had kind of cleared from the fog, and I was at a point in my life where I had ridded myself from a bunch of people that I had used to, hang out with, and I had surrounded myself with a bunch of new people who were all like-minded and wanted to be goal-oriented, and I was in this euphoric high that I'm very happy that I used as momentum at the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I mean, nowadays, sobriety is kind of like the it thing. Like a lot of people are, there's bars now that are NA bars. Yeah. There's really great NA beers, which I love. Yeah. And they're getting close in the wine. They're a little far off the mark on that. But like, it's kind of the cool thing to do right now is to be sober. At the time when you were going through this journey, though, this was kind of like not the thing to do. This was the height of when people were going out to bars. This is where people were meeting people. And you were, if I recall, single at the time. Yeah. So like, what was that like to be going through the sobriety journey at a time when it wasn't the cool thing to do, and that where bars were the place to meet a possible significant other? What did that feel like? Yeah, I mean,
it feels like so long ago, and it's something that is so fun to revisit at times too, because it just
is it?
Yeah, no, it really is. Like I joke all the time, right? Like in early sobriety, I had absolutely nothing. I was broke. I couldn't get a job because I had like felony charges, which are all obviously tied to when I was not sober. And then
as it is for most that decide to go sober.
And I had absolutely nothing, and it was, when I look back at those times for the first like 2, 3, 4 years of getting sober, it's the best time of my life. There's nothing that will ever take over that feeling. Yeah.
It's like a different high. Almost.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's what I can imagine. It's like being blind your whole life and then being able to see. And then the first like, X amount of time that happens, you're like, nothing will be as blissful as this. And I mean, I hate to say it as a parent, but like even having my children is not as good of a feeling as that was, because that was something that obviously has now led me to be able to have this life that I have. But early sobriety is a lot of fun. Yes, it was not popular to do. It was very, very, very difficult at the time. I got very fortunate because, without going too much into my story, what happened for me was, I had a guy that we kind of partied and drank together sometimes. We weren't really friends, but we were more acquaintances. And he had worked for Amtrak at the time, and they had an employee assistance program where if they knew that you were abusing substances,
almost like an open doors program.
Yeah, they would send you to rehab. They had for free, so you just go.
That's awesome.
And so that ended up happening to him. I don't remember the ins and outs of what happened, but he ended up getting sent to Father Martin's Ashley, which was a rehab locally. It's like a top 5 in the world thing. And he got sober, and I remember seeing briefly some of his stuff about sobriety, and meanwhile I was still in a bad downward spiral. And then fast forward about 6 months, because we have about a 6-month gap in our sobriety time. And when I finally hit a breaking point, he was the first person I reached out to, and he kind of helped guide me through the process of getting into treatment. And I followed through with it. And the blessing in all of it was that when I got out, I had him. And so we very quickly became best friends, and we are still best friends till this day. We experienced so much. If you talk to either one of us about early sobriety, we wouldn't have been able to do it without the other person. Yeah. You're
almost like sponsors in a way.
Yeah. And I mean, and we lived in Havre de Grace. We moved into a house, like a house that got like split, like a duplex. And I lived in one side, he lived in the other. And that was like the first like 3 or 4 years of sobriety, and it was just awesome. Like we lived life the way that we wanted to while getting drunk and high, but we did it sober, and it was like not the healthiest thing to do, but it was fun. And we at that time, I think it was so much about attraction rather than promoting. Like, we never went around and told anybody else that, you know, they should get sober. Like,
no, I remember learning it about you because it wasn't like the first, you know,
and then
data point I had on you.
Yeah, and him and I just kind of, we were comfortable enough just being like, cool, like, this is our thing, like, this is what we're going to do, so be it. And it slowly started to attract a lot more people, and then our kind of circle and network grew, and then you had people that never even thought about getting sober, and it kind of grew that network. And it was definitely hard at the time because a lot of my friends, people that I've known my whole entire life, people that I grew up playing sports with, that, you know, lived at my house, I mean, there's some of them I haven't talked to since the day I got sober.
Yeah.
And they were such large parts of my life. And I don't miss them at all, you know, and it's because it shows you that you were only worth something to them under certain circumstances, you know? And so it was very hard at the time because I learned very quickly how to go out to a bar sober and not drink and try to have fun, you know, and
totally different vantage point.
Right. And we could touch a lot on that in a little bit, but it was so, now fast forward in my life, it was so healthy to do the unhealthy things. It was, you know, I went to a bar in early sobriety, which is like a huge no. I took trips and went gambling for days on end. Did all of this stuff, and that is like, Brandon, you're gonna be in a bad place. But what it did for me was rid myself of the reason to ever need to drink or use drugs to lubricate a situation. You know, it was something that when you go through all of those things sober, you don't have an excuse to do them not anymore. Right. So to me, it was something that it just kind of evolved over time, and my own self-worth became greater and greater and greater. And then, you know, you use that as fuel to try to make something of yourself. And we joke all the time, my friend Mike and I, his name is Mike, we joke all the time about, we're like, oh yeah, we pioneered this sober shit.
You did.
We're like, we
you
pioneered
really did.
it.
And now there's bars that are literally just
and
no alcohol.
And I look at it now and I'm so like, it's very cool to see. It's very awesome to see it. It's fun. I watch friends that stop drinking now that I don't even think they had a drinking problem, you know, but they just stop because they don't see it as worthwhile in their life. And
well, now it's like a health conscious thing too.
And it's cool. And even people in sobriety now, like, it's become such a prominent thing that's had such awareness brought to it that there's a lot of young people in sobriety. You know, it was difficult for us at the time because there weren't a lot of young people, especially in Havre de Grace, right? We would go to AA meetings and it's like, you got Ethel and Betsy, you know, bopping around, you know, making sausage biscuits and gravy at an AA meeting and black coffee, telling me about when they drank during the Prohibition. And I'm like, I can't relate to this shit. Right. You know, so so much of that was what drew Mike and I together. And it was like all of the things that you have to do in early sobriety in order to make it work. We kind of created our own community to do it. And it was fun. So.
And I think you mentioned something earlier that I think is, you know, a lot of people don't realize that even without the sobriety piece of it, but as we age, there's this like feeling of shame and sadness around having to cut people out. You know, your circle does get smaller. But so much of that is necessary in order to grow. And it's not to say that those people didn't have an impact in your life at some point or weren't a good friend at some point. But it's such a necessary step sometimes to kind of shed and outgrow those people. And it's really a good thing. I think people lose sight of this isn't necessarily a bad sign that you have to let certain people go. And you can still appreciate them from afar. You can appreciate the journey that they're going through. But this is actually like a good sign for your circle to be getting tighter.
Growth is so many things. And more than anything, it's uncomfortable. You know?
Oh my God,
Growth, and I don't think it's possible to have growth without some sort of pain or sacrifice or failure. And the thing that I have to remind myself, because it's okay to be sad about losing those people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
absolutely.
okay, because there's core memories of your life that are built around spending time with that person, and it's okay to be sad or mourn the outgrowing of them. But what you have to remind yourself of is that most of the time, that friction or that thing that's causing you to outgrow them is, while you're experiencing pain through growth, your growth is also uncomfortable to them,
Right.
And so while growth is uncomfortable to you, it's also creating an uncomfortable feeling for them, because you're no longer the version of yourself that was comforting
Right.
to them.
Exactly.
And if they're not on that same path or the same timeline, it's not aligning. And there's not to say that at some point in time it won't come back around. I've had that happen a million times. I have people that have been out of my life, and then years later, people that mocked me when I got sober, right? And then now it's
Those
like,
are my favorite.
Yeah, and now they're like, I have, thankfully, like I have a couple of those people that just celebrated 7-8 years of sobriety, and it's like,
Yeah.
It's cool to see.
It is.
So, yeah.
So you go through the sobriety journey. You've got Mike by your side. You weren't able to get a job before. Now that's starting to look like a possibility. So when did the idea of, gee, maybe not only am I going to like join a gym, but I think I'm going to found one.
Yeah. So much of it was based around necessity. I couldn't get a job. I didn't know what to do to get a job. So what I ended up doing is doing the only thing that I knew how to do, which is I went back and worked at the rehab that I went to.
Right.
And there was a thing, or a job there called a PSA, which is like a program service assistant. You do all of the work that nobody wants to do, and you just keep everybody accountable, right? And I started back as that. It was a very entry-level job. I was working nights. It was miserable. I was working 10-hour shifts overnight, 4 or 5 times a week, and it was not fun, right? And you're making like $12 an hour or something at the time, and it was like I was grateful to have a job, so on and so forth. So fast forward a couple years after I got into fitness, I had pursued getting a couple different personal training certifications, and they were in the middle of kind of revamping their physical fitness plan for people in early sobriety or people that were in treatment already. And they had branched out and created a pain management program. So if you have people that were addicted to pain pills, but then they're coming off those pain pills, they still have pain, right? They're the reason that started. How do we manage the pain? And a lot of that came through physical therapy and working out and movement. And so I don't know how it happened, but I ended up becoming in charge of the physical fitness side of this pain management program. So I got out of this terrible job working overnights, and I ended up taking this promotion that put me almost as a director of this whole program. Yeah. And it was very cool. And as I started to do that, I got introduced to CrossFit from a friend of mine. And very quickly was like, oh, I like this. It's fitness, but it's competitive, and this seems cool to me. And then as I tried to do it and start to learn movements and things that happen in CrossFit, I very quickly was like, this is very hard. I'm not used to failing at something. I need to pursue this. And so, being 23 or something at the time, I was like, man, all right, cool. I'm going to go all in on this process. Yeah. And so my buddy, Aaron.
Yes, I remember Aaron, who has his own crazy story.
We've been on a couple podcasts together since, and it's crazy story. So, just very grateful that he's still here. Yeah. So, but yeah, Aaron and I started this No Quit Fitness thing where we were like,
that's what it was. I forgot the name.
I still have the shirt.
No Quit Fitness. I need that shirt.
Yes, it's. We had them screen printed on champion gray.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, so it was good. We were just like, we're going to start training people out in the field. We don't have anything. We don't have a place to go. We're just going to get some equipment and see if people want to work out. And that's what it started as. And
people did.
Yes. She was one of them, folks. If she had not shown up and put faith in me, I probably wouldn't be doing this. But we ended up trying to secure like this brick and mortar location, and we eventually found this place over in Perryville that was like more of a closet rather than anything else. Like it was this back room that we had to put flooring down on. It was so bad.
Can we go back to the field?
Yes,
actually?
It was like 300 square foot. It was so rough. And through that process, started doing a lot of CrossFit stuff. And Aaron ended up starting to deal and struggle with some things. Mm-hmm. And so I continued that process by myself at the time, and ended up getting affiliated with CrossFit and doing all of the things that I needed to do in order to open a CrossFit gym. And then the story just gets crazy from there.
Grittier and grittier.
Yeah, crazy from there. It's, went through a couple different locations trying to do my own thing. Learned a lot about business early on as a 24, 25-year-old that, thought that the whole world was great and meant well. And then you realize how quickly you get taken advantage of. Right. And learned a lot in that process. Thankfully, I did. Went from moving to a couple different locations, had my CrossFit gym first one, which was CrossFit Hatem at the time. Had friends that were coming and gave them stupid deals, like half off prices. And then I'm sitting here and I'm like, I have all these members. Why can't I pay the bills? And I'm like, oh, that's why. Everybody's got 90% off, Yeah. So, and then very quickly, like we were at a place that was called the Perryville Outlets, and we had found out that they were closing and that they were going to rip it all down. And we were like, well, what the hell are we going to do?
Right.
So at that time I had merged with another CrossFit gym owner that was up in like Bel Air area at the time, this kind of area actually. And I shut my gym down, and we moved out, and I merged with them and went through this whole process of trying to coexist in that world for a while. And after a little bit of time, and I'm just breaking things up here, ended up getting sued by the Perryville Outlets because we left before. So, and at the time, and as you already knew from me saying, had no money. So I had to sell my car in order to hire a lawyer to fight this for me. We ended up winning, but I had no car. So right. Here I am.
To all the hearings.
Yeah, here I am half owning a CrossFit gym, don't have $1 to show for it, knowing that I wanted more. So then my friend, Casey, who was the one that got me into CrossFit, who showed me, he had owned CrossFit Havre de Grace. And he ended up taking a job that was no longer allowing him to be there. And we had a discussion, and he was like, hey, why don't you come down and you just start coaching a little bit here, and then, it gets you out of the situation up here where you're not making any money. And I had like maybe 8 or 9 personal training clients at the time. And he was like, you bring them all down here, you could train them. I was like, all right, cool. I'll see who wants to go. Fast forward, come down. We're there for maybe 2 months before Casey's like, hey man, you want to buy this thing? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And he wasn't able to give it any attention, any love. Yeah. Everybody was it had kind of dissipated, and at no fault of his own, he was taking on a job that needed his time and attention and starting a family and all that. So it was very difficult for him. And so at that time, my friend and somebody who had been there for a long time, David Bennett, he was one of the lead coaches there. And Casey was like, look, I'll sell it to you, but David's got to be involved.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So David and I went in and we purchased it, and we did a split that we thought was fair. And within 4 to 5 months, the business was just exploded, and it was awesome.
You got in right at like the best time, because this was actually like pre-HYROX even.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. This is very early.
Beat that trend.
And it was my whole life at the time, right? Like my sole goal at the time was to own this gym, be at this gym, compete in CrossFit. Mm-hmm. Like I was very much driven at the time with competitive CrossFit, and that's what drove a lot of my decision making. And so here I was. We had this gym. It was all going great. We ended up competing a lot, and to the point where we wanted to make it to the CrossFit Games, and we finally, in 2018, made it to regionals, and we had a team of 2 guys, 2 girls that we probably without a doubt were going to qualify for the CrossFit Games if everything went well. And we got down to regionals in West Palm, and mind you, the rules for this are very tough, and it's hard to find. Yeah. It's hard to find 4 people that are competitive enough, especially not being sexist, but
in
on
the
the
female space.
side.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and the rules were very, very strict about for the whole calendar year leading up, you have to train at the same gym, do all the same stuff. So we had a boyfriend, girlfriend that lived down in Columbia, Maryland, which is obviously a hike up to me.
Just a little bit.
They came up, moved into my mom's house for the year to be able to
for CrossFit.
Right.
All in the name of CrossFit.
So that
folks.
we can qualify for all of this. And there was a lot of sacrifice. The business kind of dipped a little bit because I was so hyper focused on this. But ended up we made it to regionals, which was good. And out of so the qualifying process at the time was you did what's called the CrossFit Open. Top X amount of teams or individuals go to regionals, and then the top teams out of regionals go to the CrossFit Games. And coming out of the Open, I think we were in second place. So we were like, dude, this is a really good sign. We're going to be good. All this stuff. So we get down to regionals, West Palm. Obviously, you're doing GoFundMe and shit because it's expensive as hell to do this. Not to mention half you guys are working out all the time, which pays
Send me
nothing.
To go lift weights, please.
Yeah, pays you absolutely nothing. And so we get down there, do the first workout. It goes well, and you have 2 workouts a day for the course of a weekend. You have 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. And we are warming up for the second workout on Friday in the warm-up area, and one of our girls rips her shoulder. Okay? In the warm-up area. Couldn't. And so you can't substitute anybody in. You're not allowed to. So we limped through the weekend because there was only so much that she could do.
Right.
And it was a very heartbreaking experience. Came back from that, and when you had put that much time and energy and effort into something and all of the sacrifice that came with it, it was just kind of like the air got taken out of my balloon for that. And I very quickly started to lose a lot of my interest in just CrossFit in general at the time because of the fact that it had consumed my life in every aspect possible. Yes. It was my job. It was my hobby. I was competing in it. I lived at the gym. I never could get away from it. And I was just kind of over it. And that fall, coincidentally enough, was my 10-year sobriety anniversary. And I told myself for my sobriety anniversary, I was like, I want to buy a camera. I'm going to buy a camera.
I wondered where the camera actually came in. And
so I was like, I'm gonna buy a camera. Knew absolutely nothing about camera. Not a damn thing. No clue. I was at the mercy of this little.
You would never know.
I was at the mercy of this little nerd at Best Buy, right? And I walk in, and I'm like, hey man, I want to buy a camera. And he's like, do you take pictures? I'm like, I do not take pictures. And he's like, well, here, you buy this one. And I'm like, all right, cool. So he sold me this Canon Rebel thing with this kit lens. And I'm like, all right, cool. Awesome. This is going to be it. It was $550 or something like that, which I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I spent $550 on a camera.
Think of how much money you saved in beer, though. It was worth it.
Yeah, $550 for a camera. I would love to pay that now.
Right.
So I remember coming home and my wife, now girlfriend at the time, I remember telling her hey, I bought a camera. I'm excited about this. Yada yada yada. She's like, you spent how much on a camera? Damn it. Yeah, giving me shit about spending this money on this camera.
We couldn't go to dinner last weekend.
I don't let her live it down now because I go, you remember when you told me that I shouldn't have bought a camera? And so anyway, got just fell in love with it, right? And now here we are in the end of 2019. And I am just in love with taking photos. I think I owned that camera. This is where the addictive side of me comes in, right? But I think I owned that camera for about 4 weeks before I was like, I had learned so much on YouTube, and I had taken 9 million photos, and I'm like, can't use this camera. This is for peasants.
Oh, he bougie now.
Yeah, and I'm like, I need another camera. So went and bought another camera. And I wanted to, this is where it becomes a little, interesting, because I bought a camera to get away from CrossFit. I bought a camera because I needed a reprieve. I needed to get away. And I only wanted to take pictures of wildlife. It was what fascinated me. I loved wildlife photos. I loved
And they're
animals.
beautiful.
I love being able to capture and see things that like you don't ever get an opportunity to see unless you're actively looking for it. That was just something that really drew me to it. And so I ended up wanting to do that, and then bought camera equipment based around doing that. And then COVID hit. And obviously the gym took a big hit during COVID.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything. Everybody's locked in their house, but here I was ordering camera gear, going out in the woods, taking pictures of birds and shit, you know? And that was the extent.
Birds don't give a shit about COVID.
Yeah. Those birds were happy as hell. But spent all of COVID essentially taking pictures of birds and eagles and osprey and all this stuff that's local to here. And I remember during COVID, so in September for my birthday, everybody, you know, you had your opinions on whether or not you should travel or not travel or whatever. I was like, cool, let's go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming for my birthday.
My favorite location that you take pictures.
So I was like, let's go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming for my birthday. Let's get out of here. Go. All right. Coincidentally enough, while I was there, I got COVID. But anyway.
Oh my God.
But
of course you did.
But we go. I remember it. Side story real quick. Last night we had this pizza place. We had it like 3 times while we're there. Last night before we come home, I'm like, man, I want that pizza. So we ordered this pizza, got it back to the hotel room. I take a bite of it. I'm like,
I can't taste it.
I can't taste shit. And I remember going, what? Why can't I taste anything? And I remember taking my deodorant out and going, and I'm like, I can't smell shit either. And so I remember being like, nah, maybe I'm just congested. I don't know. And then, coincidentally enough, yes, ended up having COVID. But while I was out there, got to photograph and do things that I never thought were ever possible and see stuff. And in that gap of September to about December of that year, everything changed for me for photography. It went from 0 to 100 I came home, bought new camera, new lenses, all of this stuff, dropped, a ton of money on new camera gear, and ended up going back out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming over the winter to photograph moose in the snow and do all this stuff. And so this was like our whole thing. And that was like where I was. I was like, I want to do wildlife stuff. That was when I started working with a couple different companies in the wildlife space. And more local to us, obviously in Maryland, waterfowl is big, ducks and all that kind of stuff. And a couple of friends of mine did a lot of wildlife photography for a company called Ducks Unlimited. They had talked me into trying to enter this photo competition for Ducks Unlimited. I took a couple pictures of a duck. A couple duck photos. They were
really good duck photos. I've seen them.
And we submitted 1 or 2 to this. I mean, it's a big photo competition, and coincidentally enough, I won. And so it was a very cool experience for me to do that. And
I don't know how I feel personally about the fact that this started in ducks, and now you are the one who does my headshots.
There is
the new duck.
There's a comparison here, folks. She's a little quacky. But so anyway, we end up, I'm just kind of engulfed in that world. And I'm like, I'm going to find a way to make a living on this as well as the gym. COVID kind of takes a little break, and CrossFit comes back into full force competitive side. Okay. And I have a lot of friends still who were very competitive in CrossFit, right? Just because I went away and turned into wilderness man, they're still very competitive. And I had met and made a shit ton of relationships based on competitive CrossFit over the years that I had owned a gym and done that, right? And so I remember I was in Yellowstone the winter. We were chasing wolves, doing fun shit. And I'm like, this is fantastic. I love this. There's grizzly bears, there's wolves. So here I am doing all this stuff. And I come home and my friend Bailey calls me and she goes, hey, I qualified for the semifinal. It's in Minnesota. I was wondering if you would come out and do photos for me. And I'm like, take pictures of CrossFit? I'm like, I don't know, man. And she's like, please just come out. It'll be good. So I'm like, I'll message and see if I can get a media pass. No promises, okay? This is where the whole divine intervention cool shit happens, because I send a message. This woman answers me. Her name is Kristen, okay? That name will become very important, but she messages me back and she goes, hey, unfortunately, like, we can't give you a media pass. Like, you don't have like the portfolio for this. Like, we can't give you.
You've got ducks, sir.
Well, I didn't even show her that. She's just like, you don't have any fitness stuff. Like, what do you even own a camera? Essentially. And she's like, what I can give you is a long lens band, meaning that you can buy a ticket to the event, you can sit in the stands, and you can bring your camera and take photos from there. And I'm like, ugh. Okay. So I call my friend Bailey back. I'm like, hey, this is the situation. I don't know if it's worth it. She's like, no, just come out. It's fine.
Yes, Bailey, for pushing.
I go, fine. Okay. So fly out to Minnesota. Get there the first day. Here I am. I'm seeing all of my friends who I haven't seen in, a couple years, pre-COVID. And it's just like this blast from the past. Like, oh my God, here's all my friends. This is cool. I have some friends that have done the same thing. They got into the media side and stuff, and they, of course, have access. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm definitely more important than you. And so
they're showing you their pass across.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing? And so we go to our media credential check-in. And I go, yeah, my name's Brandon Kessler. I'm supposed to have a long lens band. And they go, oh, long lens bands haven't come in yet. So what we're doing is we're doing these inside out. We're writing long lens on them in Sharpie. Security knows. So all good. I go, okay. So I put a band on my wrist. We go back. We're sitting at like the bar restaurant of the hotel. And I'm like, oh my God, this can't look any worse. I'm like, I have a fucking white band on my arm with Sharpie on it. What is going on? And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, yeah, why? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, why am I here? This is miserable. So I start messing with it and I flip it over and it's a VIP press pass that they decided to write this on. Oh. So I'm like, okay. Oh. So day one of competition.
The rebel's still there, folks.
I'm like, it's
still there.
I'm like, this is great. Day one of competition, right? Next day, I am down on the field doing my thing. All this stuff, okay? I'm taking my photos.
Kristen's like, hey!
Taking my photos.
That's that guy.
Exactly. Halfway through the day, Lady Kristen starts walking around. She's like introducing herself to people. She gets to me. She's like, hey, I'm Kristen. I'm like, hi, I'm Brandon. Nice to meet you. She's like, I don't remember giving you access to be down here. And I was like, oh, I don't know. This is what I got. So I don't know. Exact words. I don't have time for this shit. I'll come find you later. I go, okay. So finish out my day, take pictures, okay? Next day. I'm down, back on the field, doing my thing with my shiny band, right? My shiny band. And I see her coming down. She's on a beeline. Comes right at me. And she's like,
you, now.
Yeah. She's like, so I looked into you. I go, oh, okay. She goes, you didn't tell me that you did wildlife photos. I was like, no. It had nothing to do with this. She goes, I own a nonprofit CrossFit gym in Tanzania, and we donate all of the proceeds to the African wildlife. And I was like, no shit. That's awesome. She's like, your work's amazing. You stay down here. Just let the event use the photos that you take. I go, sure.
Just let the event do some free advertising for you.
She's like, just let the event, just give the event access to your photos and let them use them. I go, awesome, very cool. So her and I become very close. I took a picture of her at that event.
Tell me it's framed.
Which then it's just her. It's just been her
like
Instagram.
You off,
just her
like,
Instagram.
You're not supposed to be here.
Yes, it's her Instagram profile picture for like the last 8 years now. But anyway, fast forward. I'm leaving for the weekend. I run into her. She's like, hey, what are you doing next weekend? I'm like, I don't know. Nothing. She's like, we have another event in Vegas. Need you to come out. I'm like, okay. So I ended up doing that. Fast forward, I get fully engulfed into this CrossFit shit.
Yeah.
And I end up getting invited to shoot at the CrossFit Games that year. So I go, I do that. I get paid by this company called Training Think Tank. And then you fall into like the CrossFit off season, which is like end of August through essentially like January, February. Okay. During that time, I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be awesome because coming back into the next season, I already know Kristen. I've got access to all these events. She's just going to be able to bring me on and do all this stuff. Well, January 1 or something hits and I see Kristen put up a thing on Instagram, like, and the company was called Loud and Live. It's
Yeah.
Loud and Live that does all the media for all of the semifinals. And she goes, you know, it's pains me to say I'm leaving my job at Loud and Live, yada yada yada. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, I don't know I don't know anybody else.
Right.
Like this was, you know, I don't know what to do. And fast forward like a couple weeks, and I see her share this post that was like, we'd like to welcome Kristen as the media director of NoBull. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then the next couple weeks, she calls me and she's like, hey, do you want to shoot for NoBull at the CrossFit Games this year? Because NoBull was a title sponsor. And I was like, absolutely.
Just a small household brand.
Yep, absolutely. And so, you know, the rest is history. You know, it's ended up working for them, and thankfully did a decent job. And then, you know, through that company, that I'm so grateful for them. They did a lot of things with their own growth that allowed, you know, me to have growth as well. You know, they ended up signing a deal to become the title sponsor of the NFL Combine.
Yeah.
And I was the one that was there to shoot it. And so then you make a lot of connections and relationships with people in the NFL. And then, you know, you create a portfolio that not everybody else would be kind of blessed enough to have. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of the work within itself. You know, there's a lot of imposter syndrome that comes along with it, because you're like, shit, I kind of stumbled into this, and
Right.
here I am just trying to learn it on the fly.
You literally flip a VIP band over and you fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Essentially.
Exactly. And
You know?
there's a lot of people on the creative side at NoBull that were so important in the growth of me, because the media team there, that when I started, was so good. And the media team that was there when I started is so much greater than what that company was.
Yeah.
At the time, you had two people that had Emmys, and you're like, why are you working for this fitness shoe brand? You know, and but you're learning from those people, and you're like, oh, like I came out of those situations a completely different photographer. Every time that I would work on one of those jobs, I would learn something, come out of it, and go, oh my God, like these people are like, I don't know why they keep hiring me, but this is awesome. It's just like free school for me.
Yeah.
And so learned a lot. Ended up doing a whole lot of things. Obviously, fast forward, started working, did some stuff with Tier, did some stuff with a lot of other companies. Recently, I've done a lot of stuff with Fanatics, especially the aviation department and stuff like that.
Good pictures
Yeah,
out of
fun,
that shoot. Oh my God.
fun stuff. It's just fun to be in a private jet.
I know.
You know, like that's just fun.
And a sick picture.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, you gotta, you know, when you have friends there, you're like, might as well take a picture of myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been pretty cool. You know, now NoBull's like crazy. They ended up going through some pretty hard times, and the company got sold. Now, ancestrally enough, like their biggest shareholders, Tom Brady, and you've got like this whole like crazy thing with that now, and it's just pretty.
So you'd be Tom Brady's like personal photographer.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be sick.
Cool.
But he also is the reason I said ancestral is like he's really close with the owner of Fanatics, so he does a lot of stuff. They're always flying him on that jet.
Yeah.
So it's just funny because
I just want you to remember me flipping tires with you.
Yes.
In the Havity Grade.
Yes, swinging kettlebells, and thankfully I didn't coach you wrong to have a vertebrae shoot through the wall. But no, it's sorry to be long-winded, but that was the nuts and bolts of all of it. A lot of failure along the way, a lot of things that kind of kicked me down, and you know, you just have to learn from them and move forward, and that's it. You know, there's a lot of, as many times as I was told yes by companies, I was told no, and as many times as I was told that my work was great, I was told on numerous occasions that a company wouldn't even pay me because they didn't like the job I did. And it's like, okay, well, you know, it's all subjective, and at the beginning, you know, you don't know if you're good or not. And thankfully now I do, you know, but now I know exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. But then I did not. And, you know, you can either take that feedback and let it crumble you up and go, yeah, maybe I'm not good enough for this. This was all fluke. I shouldn't be here. Or you can go, you know what? Fuck it. I'll learn from this and I'll do better next time. And yeah, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I know you're now a father. You have
Yes.
one son and expecting another baby.
Another son on the way. Yes.
You're
So two
married.
boys. Two
Um,
boys.
so,
Crazy.
in thinking about conversations that you'll have with them
Hmm.
in the not too distant future, because
Hmm.
it goes by criminally
Yes.
fast.
Yes.
But also in thinking back to somebody who might be in a state of whether they're in their sobriety journey now
Hmm.
or in the middle of figuring out like what is my next move, or
Yep.
they're in the middle of like a job search and they're like, God, am I ever going to find anything?
Hmm.
What's a message that you have for them?
You know, not just for my children, um, because I don't think that I would give anybody who is looking to change their life any different advice than I would my own kids. Aside from the very cliche, cheesy, work hard, show up, do the work
Yeah.
thing, because like I think that's kind of known at this point in time that if you want to achieve something, you have to be dedicated enough to it to do it. For me, speaking personally, from the biggest, if I had to give somebody two pieces of advice that could change their life to take you from a life that you're currently living to any sort of change and have any sort of success in it, or struggle to not struggling, it would be do what you need to do in order to develop self-worth. And the second would be manifest everything that you want.
I love that word. Yeah.
Manifesting has, some people don't believe in it. 98% of everything that I've ever, you call it whatever you want, daydream, zoned out, 98%, and that's just a scientific figure that I've come up with in my head.
Okay.
But a very high percentage of everything that I've ever dreamt about, thought about, manifested while during a long run or a long bike or anything, because that's what I do. That's what I'll get on, C2 bike and bike for an hour and a half and just zone out.
That is not where I zone out.
Yes. Yes. But 98% of everything that I have thought about achieving during that, I've achieved. And because I've forced myself to
see it.
Yeah. And there's such power in that. And that can go both ways. If you spend an hour and a half thinking about how fucking terrible you are, you'll probably go that path. But you have to be able to do enough and create enough self-worth that when you start to grow and people try to tear you down, because it's inevitable that people will.
Yeah.
And it's never as blatant as somebody going, I'm tearing you down now, right? It always is very subtle, and it's something that you have to realize, and you most of the time don't realize it until after the fact. But you have to be able to know during that time that you're on the right path. And that only comes with proving those things to yourself. At the end of the day, you have yourself to blame, and yourself that can get you through to a whole nother side if you want it to. But it's very important to be able to do that. And then on top of that, manifesting. There's so much to be said about working hard, showing up, all of those things. It's so to me, it's just so cliche at this time. Like, hoorah, show up.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's like, who doesn't get it? Who gets anything from not working hard?
Yeah.
So
No, I'm such a believer in that. I think same with my business. It's like it wasn't until I was like, what's the best that could happen here? Like, who do I want to be? And who says that I can't?
Yeah.
It's a very real thing. Once you start talking like the person that you want to be, you're there. You're that person.
And how much you can weather a storm and not have it phase you or take you off a path will allow you to go into, like, I guess my next thing that I would love to say is that if you will become successful if you can just outlast everybody.
Yes. So true.
Just last longer than anybody else that's going to quit, because 90% of the world's going to quit the second it gets tough. The first time they're told that they didn't do a good job on something, they're going to go, yeah, that's true. And they're going to go and they're going to quit. And you have to remember that most of the time people that are extremely successful are on a path or creating a job or a situation that they are in charge of, their own boss, their own fate. They're an outlier. They're somebody that is not built the same. And you have to remind yourself every day that I'm not built the same. I'm not built the same way as these other people that are going to quit. I'm going to endure it. I'm going to go through it. I have enough proof in my past leading up to this moment that I am good enough. I am deserving of this. I can follow through with this. And those are very important things that you have to be able to tap into.
I love it. I want to run through this brick wall now, thinking about it.
Yes.
Before we wrap, I know we've alluded to your work. We've alluded to your gym. We've talked about it a couple of times. But if people want to go to your gym, which by the way, I'm actively going.
Oh yeah, she's there.
Right
she's
now.
back.
I'm
she's
HYROX
back.
training.
I made her
awesome.
do 3 or 4 workouts in the field first.
I'm going tonight.
Yeah,
you didn't even know, but I'm going tonight.
Perfect.
But they do HYROX training, but really just anybody who wants to go to the gym, but also if somebody wants to get in touch with you creatively.
Okay.
What's the best way that people can get in touch with you if they want to see your work, which he's done a lot of my photography. He has amazing work. So we've got the gym side at Iron Force Fitness. We've got the photography side in various different buckets. But how would you like people to get in touch with you if they're interested in doing work with you?
I mean, in a very modern day world, you can email me your website, but it's a lot easier. Yeah, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier just to, you can follow me on Instagram or send me a DM, and it's probably the fastest way to get in touch with me photography wise, which shameless plug. It's just @Kessler_photo.
There it is.
There it is. I'm giving you time right now to go follow me. But no, it's and then for the gym, obviously, ironforcefitnesshdg.com. And there's a whole process you can go through if you want to come in, try a free class. We have a bunch of different things that we offer from HYROX. HYROX training to CrossFit classes to personal training to we have a recovery room with a sauna and cold plunge. Just a bunch of different things. Even if you just want nutritional counseling or anything like that, we offer all of that there. So anything from fitness side, Iron Force Fitness is going to be the way to go. Anything creative and content-wise, you can just reach out to me directly because I'm my own boss.
As part of being a guest on the Grit Files, we're doing something really fun, and we're compiling a playlist for all of our listeners. So anyone that's a guest on the Grit Files will share one of their favorite motivational or pump up. If you're going to be introduced at a HYROX game, which you're going to in DC, I'm going to be there competing too.
Yes.
What's the song you're coming out to? We're adding it to the playlist.
Pocket Full of Sunshine by Natasha Bedingfield. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm kidding. Get out of my studio.
I'm kidding. Probably, I don't know, because I share it all the time on my story, but Fear by NF.
Yes, NF, that we share.
Yes. That song is so deep and it's so good, and it's it gets me motivated, but on an emotional level too. So if anyone hasn't checked out the artist NF, you need to. One of the most motivational, and he's same. I would have to agree that anytime I go into a race, he's my guy. Yeah.
Brandon, I have so enjoyed the time that you've spent with us today. Thank you for taking the time to share your story. You have a ton of other stories on top of it, so we're probably going to see you again.
I would appreciate it. For sure.
We really enjoyed having you. Thanks for being a part of the Grit Files, and I can't wait to talk again soon.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very excited to talk to you again. And I'll see you tonight.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, this is the Grit Files signing off.